हुनर तो बहुतों में होता है, मगर फर्क सिर्फ इतना होता है कि किसी का छिप जाता है और किसी का छप जाता है। सर उन व्यक्तियों में से हैं जो अपार प्रतिभा के धनी हैं और उनका हुनर स्वर्णिम अक्षरों में छपा हुआ है। और इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं सर से आग्रह करूंगा कि सर हम सबको अपने वक्तव्य से अनुग्रहित करें। प्लीज सर, प्लीज।
Sir, it's over to you, Joshi sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And very happy to see you all here. It was really a very admirable effort on your part to introduce your students to the intellectual property rights, the Intellectual Property Act, and it's a very important issue. In fact, with the passage of time, this Intellectual Property Act has matured a lot. And therefore, all those research scholars, teachers, and those who are writers, all of them have to take care that the violation of intellectual property rights can land them in trouble anytime. I remember an example which has recently taken place in our own city. During this pandemic, we had many online conferences, many online seminars, and a lot of activities. So one of the speakers used he coined the phrase that is pandemonium. It was in his speech, and that speech was recorded. One particular college, which was going to hold a conference, online conference, they used this phrase, Bhushan. I was in the advisory committee of that conference. The person approached me and said, "Sir, this is my phrase. I have coined this phrase on my own. So that comes under intellectual property rights." So two things must happen. Number one, the organizers of the conference must apologize to me. And number two, if not, they should seek my permission formally, and then only they can use that. Now, I did not want to increase the problem, so I politely told the organizers that they should give him at such times. We must duly acknowledge that this particular portion, this particular contents have been taken from the book authored by so and so, such and such person. If you give due credit, I don't think there is any problem. I don't know whether this matter was discussed in your workshop or not. The story of the word nylon is very important. Many of us don't know how the word nylon has come into existence. This Ny stands for New York and Lon stands for London. So two chemists, two scientists in the textile industry, one from New York and one from London, they had invented this kind of material, and They coined the word, therefore, New York, London, that is nigh and yaw. Now, when another company started using that word nylon, these two textile scientists, they sued that company that this has been our patent. You have made it our patent. So therefore you cannot use this word. And the company had to pay a lump sum amount, very heavy amount to these two textile scientists. See, one word, one single word, that also you cannot use if that is coined by a particular person. Numerous examples of this kind can be cited. And therefore, intellectual property rights has become a very important area in the life of researchers and writers. Let us be very careful. Nowadays, young researchers, they have the habit of copying and pasting, copying and pasting. They feel that nobody is going to read, nobody is going to notice it. That's very wrong. I remember one more incident. Nowadays, you know very well that NAC has become compulsory for all of us and every college must undergo NAC. So, every institution has to prepare the mission and vision of that particular institution. Now you see in rural areas, English has always been a problem, even for the teachers. And writing vision and mission in a very impressive language becomes an impossible task even for the teachers of English in some of the rural areas. So what happened? One of the teachers of English who was assigned the job of preparing, writing the mission and vision of a particular institution, he Googled it and got it from some other institution and used that with a little bit of change, and the change was only the, I mean, in terms of the name of the institution. He thought, who is going to read it? The NAC people are not going to check each and every document. But the problem arose when that particular institution uploaded its vision and mission on their website. Why can't we be full NAC people? Because we have to upload everything on our website. So that particular institution uploaded the vision and mission of that particular institution on the website as if it was its own. But the college, which had originally framed those vision and missions, they noticed that they gave a legal notice to this rural institution that you have copied our mission and vision as they are. And they demanded the sum of 5 lakh rupees. Either you do this or we will sue you in the court of law for 50 lakh rupees. Because that amounts to plagiarism. And the institution, being from the south, was so adamant that they did not budge even for a single rupee. They said 5 lakh means 5 lakh. And ultimately, the institution had to bear the loss of 5 lakh rupees, had to pay 5 lakh rupees to that institution. Imagine when you put anything into the public domain, when it goes to your website, when your research paper is published somewhere, it goes into the public domain. And when anything goes into the public domain, what happens? Under Intellectual Property Act is unimaginable. The company, the institution, or the particular person can sue you for any kind of sum or amount. So the young scholars, I would like to say that they must be very careful whenever they publish their research papers, whenever they write their dissertation for their PhD, whenever they try any article, even one single line from anybody's poem you cannot steal. That also amounts to plagiarism, which is not allowed under this act. Therefore, in research, there is a concept called review of related literature. Whenever you write your thesis, whenever you write your research paper, what you should do? You must review the related literature to minimize the possibility of plagiarism. Review of literature becomes very important in literature for many reasons. Many of the universities do not give emphasis on the review of literature in PhD or in research. That's a great mistake. That's a great mistake. Why should we have review of related literature? Number one, whichever topic we choose, we develop the full understanding of that particular topic. Second thing, we know different perspectives. We look at the author from different perspectives. One particular author is studied from many angles, from many perspectives. For example, you take Shashi Deshpande. Shashi Deshpande can be studied as a humanist, as a modernist, as a feminist, as a representative of Indian Hindu culture, as the representative of Indian Hindu family, and many aspects are there. Whenever you choose any established writer for your research, whatever topic you choose, it must have been studied by somebody else. For example, Shashi Deshpande as a humanist. You are not the first person to work on that. hundreds of research papers must have been published with this particular aspect as the topic of the research. Then, if you go in for the review of related literature, you will have to study how many scholars, how many researchers have already studied this particular subject, this particular topic. Shashi Deshpande, as a humanist, how many have studied? Suppose 10 papers, 10 research papers, or 10 dissertations have been published on the topic Shashi Deshpande as a humanist, and you are also going to have the same topic, then as a researcher, you have to define your perspective. If you study all these 10 researchers, their works, you will be able to find out what perspectives they have and how my perspective is different from their perspective. And you have to justify your perspective that this particular critique has said this, that particular critique has taken this angle, one particular critique or researcher has taken this new perspective which is different from the earlier ones, but my perspective is different from all these scholars' perspective. This is how the review of related literature helps you in research to frame your own perspective. Otherwise, there will be repetition. And if there is repetition, many sentences, many paragraphs, many contents will remain the same, and then you may be caught under the act, that is intellectual property rights. So it is always better to study the entire material available on particular writer on the topic that you have chosen for your research. Otherwise, you can be in trouble. Now, some people may say that we study the material and the content then we put into our own words. How can that come under the Intellectual Property Act? Comes. If the contents are there and if you have modified the contents, but the sequence of the sentences, sequence of the modified sentences is the same, if the idea is the same, words may change, but the idea is the same, and you have logically placed it as it is presented there, that can also be challenged. That can also be challenged. See, this is my first sentence, and he has used the same sentence with a slight change. See, this is my second sentence, and this researcher has used the same sentence with a different use of words. Third sentence, fourth sentence, fifth sentence, like that, and you find that only the words have been changed, but the sequence of the sentences with that meaning is the same. So you have, although you have not copied down the sentences as they are, You have copied down the idea. You have copied down the contents with a slight change in the words, and you are guilty of this act. You cannot be exonerated. Ultimately, you have done nothing original you have done. Only the words, in place of big, you have put the word large. In place of especially, you have put the word specially. But idea is the same. The flow of the idea is the same. The sequence of the ideas and sentences is the same. Only a few words have been placed here and there. I mean replaced. So this intellectual property rights act does not allow that also. You have to be very careful while doing it. Even the names of the shops, trademarks, titles of the books, titles of the poem, logos also, ideas, contents, phrases, all you have to use very, very carefully so that they do not match with the ideas and contents of somebody else. Of course, one legal aspect is also there, that it is very difficult to prove, but it can be challengeable. Proving it or not proving it is a very different question. But legally, it becomes challengeable. And if the court is convinced that this contents have been stolen, you can be held responsible for. You can be held responsible under this act. So becoming original, remaining original, writing our own sentences, framing our own sentences should be our habit. There is no shortcut to knowledge, you know very well. If people think that by copying and pasting, I can get the degree of PhD, there will be no satisfaction in that. Because ultimately that amounts to plagiarism. It is plagiarism. One thing again I would like to tell you, that without the permission of any of the writers who are alive on this planet, you cannot even use their pic, their photograph. If at all you have to use anybody's photograph in your thesis, and if that writer is alive, you have to seek the legal permission from that particular writer or author. Even in translation, you see Madhushala, this has been translated into many languages. One of my friends has translated Madhushala into Marathi. But before translating that, so that it should not come under Intellectual Property Rights Act, they sought the permission from Amitabh Bachchan. This is your father's book and you want to translate it. And Amitabh Bachchan gave the permission in writing, and then only it was translated. So even the translation of any book is not allowed unless you seek the permission, legal permission from that particular writer or author. Because ultimately it is his original work. Maybe you are translating that. That is not allowed. So these are certain issues honesty is the tagline of research. A researcher must be very honest in his efforts. He must be dedicated to his research. Seeking shortcut, copying and pasting will not help in any manner. यूं ही ख्वाहिशों से नहीं गिरते फूल झोली में, ख्वाहिशों से नहीं गिरते फूल झोली में, कर्म की साख को हिलाना होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा अंधेरे को कोसने से, खुद के लिए खुद ही चिराग जलाना होगा, खुद के लिए खुद ही चिराग जलाना होगा, स्वयं प्रकाशित हो जाओ. So that prakash, that light comes only when you acquire knowledge, and in the light of your knowledge you must direct your efforts to your research or to writing anything in any language. I thank the organizers that they have invited me to put across my views. I'm thankful to my friend who has invited me here. And I'm also thankful to the participants who have patiently listened to me. It is a chairman's speech. It should be short. It is because everybody is in a hurry to leave. So, being the chairperson of the valedictory function, I would like to put an end to my words. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. You have delivered a very, very valuable lecture here as a chairperson. Sir, you have discussed about the importance of IPR in research process, and you have also tell us how copying or the cases of plagiarism put us into a great trouble and also becomes a part of a crime. So, sir, thank you very much, sir, for your valuable words. सर, हमारे महाविद्यालय की एक शोध पत्रिका प्रकाशित होती है जिसका शीर्षक है रिसर्च जर्नल ऑफ बुंदेलखंड. इस शोध पत्रिका के 15वें अंक का आज विमोचन होना है और इस अवसर पर उपस्थित हैं हमारे महाविद्यालय के प्राचार्य डॉक्टर डीपी शुक्ला सर.
In the succeeding chain of this session, I cordially invite the coordinator of this workshop, Dr. BPS Gaur sir, to summarize this outstanding event. I request Dr. BPS Gaur sir.
A very good afternoon
Video
and a warm welcome to all the participants. Honorable Patron and Principal of the College, Dr. Deepesh Shukla, Coordinator of IQAC, Dr. Mamta Bajpayee, Chairperson of this session, Dr. Praveen Joshi, Director, Prerana College of Commerce, Dr. S.P. Yadav from Prayagraj, Dr. R.K. Pandey, Professor of Mathematics and IQAC member, Dr. S.C. Nayak, Professor of Physics and IQAC member, Dr. J.P. Mishra, Professor of Economics, Dr. O.P. Arjaria, Professor of Commerce, Dr. S.K. Chari, Professor of Drawing and Painting, my colleagues of the department, Dr. Gayatri, Dr. K.V. Ahirwar, Dr. Kamlesh Chaurasiya, Dr. Durgavati Singh, Dr. R.D. Ahirwar, Dr. D.K. Prajapati, Dr. Iftisham Khan, and all the respected participants. I feel privileged to present a brief report of the activities carried out in the session of this 5-day workshop before the August audience. The workshop on intellectual property rights and research skills was inaugurated on the 1st March at 2:30 p.m. in the majestic presence of Patron Dr. D.P. Shukla, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Mamta Bajpayee, and Dr. S.C. Nayak, IQAC member. The first session started as per schedule at 3 p.m. with highly informative speech by Dr. Ajay Kumar Bharadwaj, Professor of Botany, Excellence College, Bhopal. He delivered his valuable speech on basics of intellectual property rights. This session was chaired by Dr. J.P. Shakya, Professor of Philosophy, Govt. Maharaja College, Chhatarpur. He beautifully summed up the whole lecture and added his own observations. The second session was engaged by Dr. V.P. Gaur, Professor of Sociology, Govt. PG College, Niwadi. He focused his speech on the application part of the intellectual property right by elaborating the registration process of patent, copyright, trademark, and the necessary fee for filing of the same. This session was chaired by Dr. S.C. Nayak, Professor of Physics of our college. On the second day of March, Dr. R.P. Singh, Department of Botany, from Govt. PG College, Morena, delivered his lecture on the laws related to patent. He discussed the topic in detail by explaining about the legal formalities and procedure involved with it. This session was chaired by Dr. J.P. Mishra, Professor of Economics, Govt. Maharaja College, Chhatarpur. Dr. Anuj Hundayat, Professor of Physics, Excellence College, Bhopal, acquainted us with his presentation on use of ITC tools in the field of research. In the second session of the day, he explained beautifully the use of Excel and various software that can be very useful in doing research if used judiciously. This session was chaired by Dr. G.P. Singh, Professor of Geology, posted at this college. On the 3rd March, the first session was engaged by Dr. Anurag Srivastava, librarian, Dr. Harishing Gaur, Central University, Sagar. He discussed on a very important topic, awareness, detection, and avoidance of plagiarism in view of UGC Guidelines 2018. He lucidly described technical aspects of thesis writing and cautioned against plagiarism and exhorted the participants to obey and maintain intellectual honesty. Dr. P.K. Jain, Professor of Geology of our college, chaired the session. The second session of the day witnessed Dr. S.C. Dwivedi, Department of English from IIT Tirupati. He delved deep. His lecture on paper writing as process in reference to humanities. He discussed the various processes involved in creative and critical writing. The session was chaired by the equally man of letters, Dr. A.K. Bajpayee, Professor of English, Mahatma Gandhi College, Kareli. On the 4th of March, Dr. M.K. Gupta, Professor of Botany, Jivaji University, Gwalior, was our distinguished speaker in the first session. He focused his talk on paper writing, a process in reference to science. He enlightened the participants with research methodology and drafting of a good research paper on the topics related to life sciences. Dr. P.K. Khare, Professor of Botany of this college, beautifully summarized the whole speech of the resource person. On the 5th and the last day of the workshop has been made memorable by the gracious presence of Dr. S.P. Yadav, former Professor of Mathematics from Prayagraj. His presentation will certainly be a source of inspiration to the budding researchers. Dr. R.K. Pandey, Professor of Mathematics, chaired the session. I am extremely grateful to Dr. Praveen Joshi, Director, Prerana College of Commerce, Nagpur, for chairing the closing session of the workshop. He is really a treasure of knowledge, wonderful orator, and a scholar of high repute, and above all, a nice human being. Whenever I requested him to be a part of any academic activity, without any second thought, he willingly gave his consent. Really, sir, it is a great honor to us to have you with us at this platform. You have very clearly explained the troubles that may cause if the researcher is found involved in plagiarism. Being torchbearers of knowledge and high ideals, we all the teachers should follow intellectual honesty and also transmit it to our students. Thank you again, sir, for sparing your valuable time for this workshop. A lot of thanks to our beloved and knowledgeable Dr. Praveen Joshi, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request the moderators to proceed this activity further. Over to moderators.
Thank you very much, sir. You have sum up the entire workshop very beautifully. Now I request Professor D.K. Prajapati to proceed again.
Thank you so much, sir. इसी कड़ी में मैं इस कार्यशाला के पैटर्न डॉक्टर डीपी शुक्ला सर से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो आए और हम सबका मार्गदर्शन करें. प्लीज सर.
पांच दिवसीय संगोष्ठी में एक जो कार्यशाला हमारे महाविद्यालय के द्वारा खासतौर से अंग्रेजी विभाग के द्वारा जो आयोजित की गई और अलग अलग वक्ताओं के द्वारा अलग अलग समय में हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए प्राध्यापकों, साथ ही हमारे छात्रों को बहुत अधिक लाभ इन वक्ताओं के द्वारा दिए गए वक्तव्यों से प्राप्त हुआ. इसके लिए मैं सबसे पहले आयोजकों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, जो इतने लंबे समय तक चलने वाले वेबिनार को उनके माध्यम से सुचारू रूप से संचालित किया जा सका. इसके साथ साथ जो वक्ता हमारे महाविद्यालय को ज्ञान प्रदान करने के लिए जुड़े, मैं उनको भी अपनी ओर से, अपनी संस्था की ओर से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहूँगा कि उन्होंने अपने व्यस्त समय को निकालते हुए हमारे छात्रों के लिए और हमारे प्राध्यापकों को विभिन्न प्रकार का समय उनके माध्यम से प्रदान किया गया. साथ ही हमारे महाविद्यालय के जिन प्राध्यापकों के द्वारा तकनीकी सहयोग भी इस वेबिनार को संचालित करने के लिए प्रदान किया गया, मैं उनको भी अपनी ओर से और अपने महाविद्यालय की ओर से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूँ. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर. आपके शब्द हमेशा हम लोगों के लिए प्रेरणा के स्रोत रहते हैं और वही प्रेरणा है कि हम सभी आपके कुशल मार्गदर्शन में ये सब कार्यक्रम आयोजित करवाते हैं. यहाँ प्रतिभागियों को मैं बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये 5 दिवसीय जो वर्कशॉप थी आदरणीय प्राचार्य जी के मार्गदर्शन में और परम सम्मानीय गौड़ सर के निर्देशन में ये वर्कशॉप आयोजित की जा रही थी. ये वर्कशॉप MPHEQIP द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हायर एजुकेशन के तत्वाधान में और महाविद्यालय की जो IQAC है उसके तत्वाधान में अंग्रेजी विभाग के द्वारा आयोजित हुई है. और इसके प्रति जो प्रेरणा है IQAC के जितने भी सदस्य हैं उनकी प्रेरणा है और इसके पीछे जो सहारा है वो जो सबसे बड़ा सहारा है वो आदरणीय परम सम्मानीय प्राचार्य महोदय जी का है. और आपकी प्रेरणा के बगैर ही ये सब कुछ संभव हुआ है, जिसके लिए हम सभी पूरी आयोजन समिति आपके प्रति निश्चित रूप से आभारी है। अब मैं अंतिम कड़ी के रूप में इस कार्यक्रम की मैं परम आदरणीय डॉक्टर ममता वाजपेयी मैम IPAC कोऑर्डिनेटर को मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहता हूं। प्लीज मैम, इट्स ओवर टू यू फॉर वोट ऑफ थैंक्स।
ओके सर, मेरी आवाज आ रही है सर?
जी 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 मैम।
1 से 5 मार्च तक चलने वाली इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स एंड रिसर्च स्किल्स पर आयोजित वर्कशॉप का आज अंतिम दिवस था और इस अवसर पर मुझे आभार व्यक्त करने का जो दायित्व सौंपा गया है, मैं सच कहूं तो इतने शानदार और बेहतरीन आयोजन के लिए औपचारिकता ही होगी आभार व्यक्त करना, किंतु फिर भी इस औपचारिकता का निर्वहन करते हुए मैं सर्वप्रथम महाविद्यालय के सम्मानीय प्राचार्य डॉक्टर DP शुक्ला जी, जो बहुत ही सहज सरल व्यक्तित्व के धनी हैं। सच कहा जाए तो प्रशासकीय कार्य इतना आसान नहीं होता, किंतु सर अत्यंत सहजता से हर समस्या का निदान खोज ही देते हैं। अतः सबसे पहले मैं महाविद्यालय के ऐसे सम्मानीय प्राचार्य का महाविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से हार्दिक धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। मैं आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ इस वर्कशॉप के आयोजक डॉक्टर BP सिंह गौर सर का, जिन्होंने इतना रुचिकर विषय चुना और सबकी विषय के द्वारा ही, विषय को सुनकर ही सबकी रुचि बढ़ जाती है उस विषय के बारे में जानने के लिए। तो निश्चित ही विषय बहुत ही रुचिकर था और इसके अलावा मैं गौर सर का इस बात के लिए भी धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ कि उनके इस कुशल निर्देशन के फलस्वरूप ही यह वर्कशॉप आज इतने अच्छे तरीके से संपन्न हो सकी है। मैं इसलिए डॉक्टर गौर सर का धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। सर के साथ उनकी पूरी टीम भी धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं, जो इंग्लिश डिपार्टमेंट के हैं, किंतु भले ही वो पर्दे के पीछे रहे हों, सामने कैमरे के ना आए हों, किंतु उनके द्वारा भी बहुत ही महती भूमिका का निर्वहन किया गया है, जिसमें मैं सबसे पहले नाम लेना चाहूंगी डॉक्टर KB अहिरवार सर, डॉक्टर गायत्री, डॉक्टर RD अहिरवार, डॉक्टर DK प्रजापति, डॉक्टर दुर्गावती सिंह, डॉक्टर कमलेश चौरसिया, इफ्तिशाम खान, सभी का मैं तहे दिल से आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ, जिन्होंने सौंपी गई जिम्मेदारियों को पूरी निष्ठा से अपने दायित्वों को पूर्ण किया है। निश्चित ही वे धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं। इस 5 दिवसीय वर्कशॉप में विषय विशेषज्ञ के रूप में प्रथम दिवस डॉक्टर अजय कुमार भारद्वाज, डॉक्टर VP गौर सर का लेक्चर था। मैं उनसे परिचित तो थी, किंतु सुनने का मौका मुझे पहली बार ही मिला और उनके इस सारगर्भित व्याख्यान के लिए मैं उनका हृदय से धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। 2 मार्च के जो हमारे रिसोर्स पर्सन्स थे, डॉक्टर RP सिंह सर, डॉक्टर अनुज हुंडैत सर को मैंने अनेकों मर्तबा सुना है। उनकी चिर परिचित शैली से हम सभी वाकिफ भी हैं। PPT पर उनका जो बहुत बढ़िया प्रेजेंटेशन होता है, वो निश्चित ही सराहनीय है। मैं डॉक्टर सिंह सर, डॉक्टर हुंडैत सर का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। 3 मार्च के विषय विशेषज्ञ थे डॉक्टर अनुराग श्रीवास्तव सर एवं डॉक्टर PS द्विवेदी जी। हालांकि उनका पूरा व्याख्यान मैंने नहीं सुन पाया व्यक्तिगत कारणों की वजह से, किंतु प्रतिभागियों द्वारा दिए गए कमेंट से ये स्पष्ट था कि उन्हें ना सुन पाने का अफसोस मुझे रहेगा, अवश्य रहेगा। डॉक्टर MK गुप्ता सर, डॉक्टर महेश शुक्ला सर, डॉक्टर SP यादव सर, डॉक्टर प्रवीण जोशी सर, ये सच है कि बेहतर व्याख्यान के लिए आपका नाम ही काफी है। सब जानते हैं कि स्पष्ट शैली, विषय की पकड़ और गहराई, जिससे निश्चित ही प्रतिभागी हमारे लाभान्वित होंगे, ऐसा मुझे पूरा विश्वास है। डॉक्टर SC नायक सर, डॉक्टर RK पांडे सर, इनका भी मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करना चाहूंगी, जिन्होंने वर्कशॉप के कार्य को गति प्रदान करने में अपनी सक्रिय भूमिका का निर्वहन किया है। इस आयोजन का संचालन कर रही टीम डॉक्टर गायत्री, डॉक्टर रामदास अहिरवार, डॉक्टर दुर्गावती सिंह, डॉक्टर कमलेश चौरसिया भी धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं। उन्होंने बेहतर संचालन से आयोजन को अत्यंत रुचिकर बनाया है। सभी प्रतिभागी जो इन 5 दिवसों में बड़ी ही धैर्यता से, तन्मयता से सुना, हमारे विशेषज्ञों को सुना और उसमें हिस्सा लिया, वो भी धन्यवाद के पात्र हैं, क्योंकि उनके बगैर तो कार्यशाला की सफलता कदापि संभव थी ही नहीं। तो निश्चित ही सभी हमारे प्रतिभागी जो हमारे अन्य प्रदेशों से और हमारे विद्यार्थी जो अनेक क्षेत्रों से यहाँ पर जुड़े हुए थे, उनका भी मैं हृदय से धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। कहा जाता है कि जंगल में मोर नाचा परंतु किसने देखा। मीडिया प्रभारी डॉक्टर SP जैन सर ने इस आयोजन को अपनी बेहतरीन शैली से पूरे आयोजन को देश प्रदेश के जनमानस तक पहुंचा दिया। हम उनके इस अभूतपूर्व उत्तम कार्य के लिए शुक्रगुजार और हृदय से धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। एक बार पुनः आपने मुझे बोलने का, अपनी बात रखने का मौका दिया। मैं इसके लिए आयोजक टीम और महाविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से सभी का धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करती हूँ। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम। मैम, आपके हौसला अफजाई करने वाले शब्दों को सुनकर मुझे कुछ चंद पंक्तियां याद आ गई। अभी तो असली मंजिल पाना बाकी है, अभी तो असली मंजिल पाना बाकी है, अभी तो इरादों का इम्तिहान बाकी है। सिर्फ सीखे हैं कुछ कुछ पहलू इस कार्यशाला के माध्यम से, अभी पूरा आसमां पाना बाकी है। इसी के साथ एक बार पुनः मैं तहे दिल से सभी का धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करता हूँ और आशा करता हूँ कि जल्द ही फिर किसी मंच पर एक दूसरे से रूबरू होंगे।
And have a very good evening and bye bye.